up, guys? It's Yugi Bros with another duel video for you guys today. I'm sorry for the delay of videos. My life has actually been very busy as of late, and a lot of things have come up, but hopefully we're back on track. Today we're going to actually be testing a deck that actually was conceived first by Michael Steinman back in 2020. This was YCS Vegas, Attack of the Giant card. He got first and third in both of them. Shoutouts to both him and MBT for the deck video. So I saw this list, and obviously it's a little bit out of date now, but I kind of tinkered with it and tried to come up with a version that might still be relevant now. A thing to note is that actually in one of the most recent updates to Speed Duels, they changed the time in rounds from 30 minutes to 40 minutes, which I actually think is kind of ridiculous because 30 minutes was already excessive. Most Speed Duel games don't really go that long unless you're literally playing a stall deck, and that's the point of your deck. But 40 minutes, that's current Yu-Gi-Oh rounds, and Speed Duels is meant to be speed duels. It's meant to be a lot quicker. So it's interesting that they actually changed it to 40, because now you can pilot something like this a little bit more efficiently than you would have before, and I'll show you what I mean. So the way his deck kind of worked is you centralize your deck around Goki Pawn and Danny Pawn, both of which say if they die by battle in the sense of the grave. This one adds an insect with 1500 or less attack from deck to hand, and Danny Pawn is 1000 or less defense from deck to hand. And the only insects you play are insects that you can search with both of these, and they basically loop themselves forever. Now, I'll explain more cards as we go through this deck, but one of this deck's literal win cons is you just stall until your opponent decks out. But it's not as boring as it sounds. We're playing against Cyber Angels, so I think this is a good way to showcase the deck. So we open Nightmare Wheel, Goki Pawn, Creature Swap, and Insect Neglect. No joke. This card, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can banish an insect monster from your grave, negate the attack. On paper, sounds really bad, but you fill your grave with these very quickly, and ends up actually not being terrible. So they're going to start out with a Cosmic here, and they're going to banish our Nightmare Wheel. They're going to flip their Ritual Ceremony, revealing a Ritual monster to add Machine Angel Ritual from deck to hand. They're going to then activate the spell, send a Ben 10, summon an Ida 10, and then both Ben and Ida 10 are going to trigger here. Ben will add Senju, whereas Ida 10 will get the spell back from the graveyard, and then they're going to normal summon a Senju, use Senju's effect, add a Ben 10 from deck to hand. They're going to then activate the second Machine Angel Ritual, sending Ben 10 and Senju for Izana. They're going to trigger Ben 10's effect, adding another copy of Senju from deck to hand, and then they're going to go into battle phase here. They're going to have Izana swing over. I'm not really exactly sure why, but I guess because they see the skill and they just don't know what it could be. We're going to trigger Goki Pawn here and add Parasite Paranoid. Guys, a lot of people are calling for a Paranoid to go to 1, and in which case, this deck only plays 1. You can search it, so you don't need to play more than 1 of that. They're going to swing with Ida 10, and they're going to pass to us. So we're going to draw into Man-Eater Bug. This is a card you can search with both Goki and Dandy Pawn. We're going to activate Paranoid. The reason we equip it here and not here, it doesn't matter. Either way, it's going to trigger Izana's effect. We're kind of in a situation where we're kind of forced to do this. They're going to trigger it, shuffle the ritual back to pop a card. We're going to use Cocoon's draw effect, shuffling that back into the deck and trying to draw something relevant here. We draw into Golden Ladybug. No joke. This is a card that is also searchable by Goki and Danny, and literally just says during your standby phase, you can reveal this card in your hand. It will remain revealed until the end of the turn, and then you gain 500 life points. Depending on what you're playing against, this is actually better probably in the side deck, and I'll show you where I changed the list at the end of the video. But this card, still really good against the Warrior Lady burn decks, good against something where you're just stalling forever and you can keep gaining life, so you're not just dead to like something like a Zoma. They're going to summon Senju here. They're going to use its effects, adding, banishing, somehow. I don't know how that actually worked. Adding a Ben 10. They're going to have Ida 10 swing. We're going to use our Neglect's effect to banish an insect to negate the attack. Keep in mind this is not once per turn. Right now it doesn't matter. We don't have any more insects. We're going to flip Man-Eater Bug. We're going to use its effect and to pop Izana. Obviously Izana will trigger here. To pop our Neglect, it should have shuffled back the ritual to do so. However, keeping it alive from Man-Eater Bug's effect, they're going to banish Machine Angel Ritual. So that's just game, unfortunately. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, Yugi Bros, what a great duel to showcase this deck. It just got bodied by Cyber Angel. Just, it's a slow build, okay? It's a slow build. Let's keep it going, right? So this game we open Danny Pawn. this is the other one. Nightmare Wheel, Zoma, and Book to their, standard Cyber Angel plays. They're going to actually pass, and I think it's because they know what we're playing. They're not just going to go in. This deck loves going second and just pushing for game. No real reason to an extend. It's not like we can OTK. We're going to set Danny Pond, Zoma, Book, and a Nightmare Wheel and pass. They're going to draw into Idleton, activate Machine Angel Ritual, do the usual Machine Angel combos. We're going to say that's fine. They're going to do their thing. They're going to add their Senju and their spell back to their hand. They're going to then normal the Senju, adding the Cyber Angel Benten. You know how this combo works by now. They're going to set one Machine Angel Ritual. Actually, I think that's really smart because Mind Crush is heavily prevalent in this format, specifically mostly for this deck. So if they do end up having it, good idea to set one preemptively if they call Machine Angel Ritual at some point now. And if not, if you activate this and they use it and try to, like, I don't know, either hit another one if they know you have it or hit one of the things, at least you're always saving yourself with one. You are susceptible to back row hate, of course, but, it depends what you're playing against. They're going to have Idleton swing into Goki Pond. I'm sorry, Danny Pond. We're going to have Danny Pond add Parasite Paranoid, as always. We're going to have then Senju take the 1400. We have a Zoma, but we'd like to use it in the end phase instead as a beat stick. We draw on a Metal Armored Bug. Now, people are like, why are you playing this? This is our target for Paranoid instead of Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth. I feel Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth right now just isn't that great. It's a card that its high attack points actually makes it more susceptible to just getting blown out by certain things like Zoma the Spirit and especially the Amazoness deck. But also in the hand, it's just a dead card. This deck is known to stall very well. So the point is, if you draw one of these dead, and it's a moth, you can't do anything with it. This, unfortunately, with Cocoon, only lets you summon an insect from the deck, not from the hander deck. So if you draw this here with this, this is actually just, it's not dead. You can summon any insect with Cocoon. It doesn't have to be a level 7 or higher. But it makes them, if you're playing, usually you're playing the one moth, period. There's no reason to play more than that. And you don't want to draw it dead, so you'd rather just play the Metal Armor Bug. Unfortunately, this is the only big target we play for this, and we just drew it, but that's fine. We'll use Paranoid's effect. We'll put it on Idleton. We'll use our Cocoon's effect, sending both that and the Idleton to the grave, and summoning a Goki Pond from the deck, because we can summon any insect monster. We're just not allowed to normal or special summon the same turn we do that. However, we can still set if we had another monster to set. We're going to activate Neglect, because Neglect is now live. We actually have 2 targets to banish for it. We're going to have Zoma swing over the Senju for 400, and we're going to have Goki swing in for 800. Now, we didn't have to put this in attack mode, but we figured we got to try to get on the offensive as fast as possible and out this deck. Go figure, they draw into literally the one they were missing here. They're going to send Ben 10 for Idleton. They're going to do the normal combo where they get a Senju and a Machine Angel Ritual. They're going to then normal the Senju. They're going to use Senju's effect, adding another Ben 10 from deck to hand. They're going to then activate their Ritual Ceremony, which they didn't do right away this time, and I think it's just because they had so many going into it, they didn't want to get Mind Crushed, which makes sense. They'll add another copy, they'll activate it, sending Senju in the Ben 10 for the Izana. Then Ben 10, of course, will trigger once again. And the reason I think they don't tribute the Idleton here is mainly just because they don't want this at 3,500 to crash into Zoma, or have our Zoma crash into it. That obviously would just be game on their part. We're going to activate Book of Moon here, so they're obviously... Oh, I'm sorry. They're going to trigger Izana's effect to send a spell or trap to the field, to the grave. So we're going to chain Book of Moon on our Goki Pond, and then send Book of Moon for Izana's effect. They're going to add Senju with the Ben 10, of course. And then they're going into battle phase, and they're going to have Izana swing over the Goki, because they don't want to swing over the Zoma and have 300 life, which makes sense. We're going to have Goki trigger, and we're going to add Dandy from deck to hand. Keep in mind, you can add themselves with them. But I don't know. I just figured we had the other one. No reason not to. They all had the same ones. They're going to have Izana reuse its effect to attack again, swinging into Zoma, believe it or not. And we could do it. We could take it, but then we're kind of on no defense here. If we use Nightmare Wheel, it'll trigger Izana's effect to pop a card on our field. We don't really want to do that as of yet, so we're going to actually use Neglect's effect here. I would like to keep Zoma to kill the Idleton first, and then go from there. We draw into a Zoma the Spirit. We're going to use the draw effect of Cocoon, shuffling, adding a Dandy. We're going to set a Zoma. We're going to have this Zoma swing over the Idleton. just to get it off the field, and we'll pass to them. They draw into DD Warrior Lady. It's like they're drawing the perfect counters to what we have. They normal summon DD. They're going to go to battle phase, have DD try to swing into Zoma. We're going to activate Memory Well on the DD since it's not going to trigger Izana's effect. Now Izana will swing into our Danny Pawn. We'll have Danny Pawn's effect add a Parasite Paranoid, from deck to hand. And then they're not actually going to redeclare because they don't want to be down to 100 life. Also, they would literally die here if they had Izana swing because Nightmare Wheel in the standby phase will trigger on their Warrior Lady and do 500. We're going to set another Danny Pawn. We're going to have Zoma swing into the Cyber Angel, and unfortunately for them, that is actually just game. They don't have anything to stop this, so we will take the game. I have a huge problem with Zoma being in the game. I'll save this for another video, of course, but I think Zoma is just the only super... It allows decks that shouldn't be able to steal games, and then it makes other decks, like lesser decks, not relevant because they just auto lose to a Zoma. But again, I'll digress on that. I'll keep that to another video. Game 3, they're gonna add the Senju. They're gonna add the Benten with Senju. They're gonna add the Benten with Senju. They're gonna set a card. They're gonna use Ritual Ceremony here to add Machine Angel Ritual. They're going to then activate it, sending Benten for Iditen, doing the normal combo. I swear this deck is just literally Satellar Knights with the advantage loop that it has. Gets the Ritual, gets the Senju, gets the Deneb. Has Senju swing in here. Danny effect will activate, adding Paranoid. Go figure, we open the Metal Armored Bug 2 games in a row. And what's crazy about this is deck's 30 cards, we're only playing 1 copy of this. But both times, we just opened it. So they're going to have Iditen swing here. Now, it's not dead. If this is sent while being a equip card to the graveyard from our field, we can special summon a level 7 or higher insect, ignoring its summoning condition. So we can get this out, but... you know, we'll do it a different way for now. We use Paranoid on that. We will activate the skill, sending both to summon a Danny Pawn from the deck. The reason this effect doesn't trigger anymore, right here, is because how they changed Cocoon's effect. Now, if you use this effect, you cannot special summon normal or special summon other monsters a turn you activate that effect. So the downside to this. The downside to this is it used to be you'd do that, and then if you had another Moth or whatever in hand, you'd use its Grave effect to summon the other card to the field. We can no longer do that because the skill doesn't allow us to. We can, however, still set, so we'll put the Goki face down, we'll activate the Neglect, and we will just pass on this. They're going to normal summon another Senju. They're going to do their normal search, Deneb for Deneb, and then this Deneb. They're going to go into battle phase, have a Senju swing over the Dandy. The Danny Pawn will add Man-Eater Bug, and then second Senju will swing. And we'll have Goki add another Goki. We're both thinning the deck and filling up our grave for Neglect's effect, which is kind of cool. So we'll use Cocoon's effect here, shuffle the Paranoid in to draw a card. We get another Zoma in addition to our draw phase Zoma. We have a Book of Moon already. So we can't set both Zomas, but we're gonna set one and Goki and and a Man-Eater Bug and pass. And summon DD Warrior Lady here. They're being very cautious this time around. They're gonna have Senju swing in. We're gonna use Neglect's effect to negate the attack. They're gonna have Senju swing in. We're gonna use Neglect's effect to negate the attack. They're gonna have DD swing in. We're going to activate Neglect, and we've just essentially null and voided their battle phase. Now, obviously, it's at the cost of 3 insects in our grave. Was it worth it? Let's find out. We're going to flip Zoma in the end phase. We're going to draw into another Goki Pawn. We're going to flip Man-Eater Bug, use its effect targeting DD Warrior Lady. And then both of us lose connection here for a second. Thanks, Duelingbook. Alright, DD goes. We're going to switch Zoma to attack, set the other Zoma, set a Goki, and go into battle phase and have Zoma swing over one of the 2 Senjus, but they're going to book, and because our spell and trap zones are all filled here, unfortunately, game mechanics, this will just go to the grave because it can't reset to the spell and trap zone, which is actually really good play on their part. So they added our Zoma, they draw into another DD Warrior Lady, so it's like we did nothing. They're going to have Senju swing here, we're going to flip Book of Moon, use it on our Man-Eater Bug. The attack still goes through, it flips Man-Eater Bug, we'll have it send DD Warrior Lady, and then they'll have their Senju swing into our Goki, Goki adding another Maneater Bug. So it's actually like we kind of like walled that one, which was really nice. End phase, we're going to flip Zoma. We're going to draw into another Zoma. Go figure, once again. We're going to set a Maneater Bug, set a Zoma, switch this one to attack, and swing over a Senju. It's crazy. It's rigorous. It's very rigorous. But we're getting there. We're getting there. They're going to activate Machine Angel Ritual. Here they go. Now they're doing their thing. They do the Ben 10, they do the Ida 10, they get their Senju, and they get their Machine Angel Ritual spell back to their hand. So, we've walled through their little plays. Now they're going to try to make some big plays. The normal summon a Senju, use its effect, adding a Ben 10 to their hand. And they're going to do this once again, sending both Senjus for an Izana, and Izana is going to trigger sending a spell trap to the grave. We have a Zoma set, and a Neglect. We're going to keep Neglect, because I feel like it's the only thing we can do to keep stalling. So we're going to actually send the Zoma that's already face up. That way we'll lose less damage if they swing over it. They're going to then activate the face down one they have for the Ben 10, and the Ida 10 for the other Izana in their hand. They're going to use Ida 10's effect and Ben 10's Izana's effect, and I believe Ben 10's effect. Yep, of course. And add another Ida 10 from deck to hand. They're going to then we're going to send our Zoma to the grave because, again, we want to keep Neglect up. We're going to use Neglect here. Both our Izanas are 3,500 at this point. So they're going to swing with both. We're going to banish both. We've actually burned through all 3 Zomas already in this game, which is nuts. And they're still at 3,600, so this is crazy. We're going to draw into Lava Golem, guys. Perfect draw in this situation. Sending both Izanas to the graveyard, and we'll just pass on that. We can't normal summon or set the turn with Lava Golem, so we can't set the Goki Pawn. They're going to draw in a Book of Moon. They're going to take 1,000. They're going to set Book, switch Lava to attack, and swing, in which we are going to flip Maneater Bug and pop the Lava Golem. Now, we didn't have an Insect to banish for Neglect, so we kind of had to let that go through. So then we're going to draw into Floodgate Trap Hole, which we do play, but we haven't seen this entire match. We're going to normal the Goki Pawn, set a Floodgate Trap Hole, and have Goki swinging for 800. Do we have to have this swing? No, we could have just set this. We were getting a little aggressive. We had the Floodgate, and we have Neglect live, so we figured we'd do some damage. They draw into Book of Moon. They set that and pass. We draw into Parasite Paranoid. At this point, it doesn't even matter. We're actually going to keep this in hand, because if they summon a monster and then try to enter battle phase, we can activate this effect, target their face-up monster, equip it to it. That monster becomes an insect, and it can't attack other insects, which is really cool because when they enter battle phase, whatever they have, you paranoid it, that becomes an insect, and then it can't attack insects, and this is an insect. So it's another stall tactic we can use to try to slow the game down. They're going to Book our Moon, our Goki Pawn. I don't really know why, but they did. They're going to draw into Rainbow Life. Actually, a really decent card, I think, in general, but this is kind of an interesting situation we're in because we draw in a Lava Golem. It doesn't matter what we do. They have no cards left in deck. We did what we were supposed to do, and we just pass, and that's the game. So, guys, crazy to see how this deck works. I'll show you guys the list in 1 second. So, for the deck list, we're playing 1 Metal Armored Bug, because like I said, it's just more playable if you brick with it than Perfectly Ultimate, and Perfectly Ultimate, in my opinion, just isn't that great right now. 3 Goki Pawn, 3 Danny Pawn. All these do is they recruit another insect from the deck to hand, and all the insects minus Metal Armored are searchable with both of these. 3 Maneater Bug. It's good spot removal, and you can search it with these. 2 Lava Golem. This card is nasty, and obviously, if it wasn't obvious already, in addition to the stall, deck your opponent out win con, the other win con of this deck is just burning your opponent for game. 1 Paranoid, because you can search it, and after you have 1, it's kind of just dead. 1 Mask of Darkness, which I'll touch on in a second. 1 Insect Neglect. This card is a brick if you have more than 1. It's just kind of like, oh, if you have it, cool. If you don't, it's fine. You have a million other stall cards. 2 Creature Swap. I'm arguably thinking of bumping this to 3 because these are so weak, but we'll keep it where it's at right now. Triple Book of Moon. Book of Moon just because it's still the best disruption card in the game, but also you can reflip your Maneater Bugs if you're stalling out, which is kind of nice. Triple Floodgate Trap Hole. Triple Nightmare Wheel, burn. Triple Zoma the Spirit. I wish this card was either at 1 or 0, but it is what it is. And 1 Jar of Avarice. And the reason we are playing both Mask of Darkness and Jar of Avarice, and you can check this on Steinman's video, is with both of these in the deck, as long as they continue to both resolve, you will never deck out. Because at some point, you will shuffle 5 cards back into your deck and draw a card, then you can Mask of Darkness this back and keep doing it. Or if you use Mask of Darkness early on any of these things, eventually hit Jar of Avarice, you throw the Mask of Darkness back into the deck, and then once this is used, you flip the Darkness at some point in the future turn, you add the Jar of Avarice back, and you'll never run out of your deck engine. Which is why I haven't upped the creature swap count, because again, you can get stuff back, so it's never completely dead. This deck is hilarious. In the side deck, we have 2 Golden Ladybug, because it's really good against anything that's also burning you, stalling you, or just in general, like trying to keep pace with you. Or trying to kill you with like Zomas. This is the greatest thing for this. You can search it with these. You don't have to bring in 2, but in some matchups, bringing in 2 is much better than 1. In some matchups, it's much worse. But it's one of those where you can just outpace. Also, because you can go into time with this, this is the best card to bring into time. Granted, you're playing 40 minutes now. You're probably not going into time anymore in Speed Duels. You're probably just decking them out the old-fashioned way. 1 Mind Crush, because it's still one of the best side deck cards in the game right now. 1 Straight Flush. I don't know if I'd play this, or I would just play some generic Spell and Trap card, Hate type card, maybe Breaker the Magical Warrior for a little more offense for the deck. But either way, at least this is good against, again, like if you're playing against a pseudo-type burn deck or something similar. 1 Rainbow Life, and 1 Waking the Dragon. You are playing a bunch of back row. If they're trying to out your back row, you have 6 options that Waking the Dragon can summon in order to get that going. Again, I'm not sure if I would continue to play Waking the Dragon. A lot of the side deck cards are interchangeable. It's just generic things that I like to play. This, you may not even need it. It's just, Cyber Angels are still a really tough matchup, so it's just a little bit easier to play against it with something like this. But regardless, guys, this is the deck. Once again, shoutouts to both Michael Steinman and MBT for the video. I know their video is a little bit out of date, but honestly, the format is still what it is. You can still stall out with burn-type cards and decking out your opponent. But guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Comment, like, and subscribe. As always, click the notification bell to get all of our latest updates, and I'll see you guys in the next video.